Welcome to this subject, financial management. Our section is FMDFINA K33, and we'll be meeting every Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9:15 to 10:45. So this subject is your one and only financial management course. And before I begin, guys, let me just give a very brief definition of what finance is all about. When we talk about finance, we're talking about generally, it's the science of managing money. We know that money is a limited resource. So any institution that requires money, whether it be the government, whether it be individuals or any company, they will need to manage the resources, particularly money, very well. Because we know that no company, no institution has unlimited resource as far as money is concerned. So finance is all about managing this so that the company will be able to attain or attain their objectives, their goals, and for NGOs, their mission. So finance is all about understanding the flow of money from individuals, from institutions, okay? So from business to business, from business to government, government to business, individuals to business, etc. It's all about managing the flow of money, the transfer of money. In the course of this, guys, in the course of understanding the flow of money, we're going to look at the markets, the financial markets, the financial instruments, financial institutions, and the processes involved in this concepts. So this is what we're going to discuss in this subject, and our environment will be corporate finance. We're going to take a look at the firm, a for-profit firm, a business entity. That's our context. So this is not a subject on personal finance, although personal finance is very important. This is neither a subject of government finance. That's a totally different. Those are two different topics altogether. The focus will be on how businesses manage their money, their resources. Okay, this is our course outline. So module 1 is all about financial management concepts and principles. So that will take around two to at the most 3 sessions. And then we go to financial statements and reports analysis. The next will be financial planning. And then in module 4, we're going to take a look at risk and return. We're going to look at stocks and what's the difference between just having an investment in one stock versus a portfolio. We're going to study the returns, comparing both. And then the cost of capital, or the weighted average cost of capital, which is very important for any business entity, because this is used in order to determine if a project is viable or not. So for example, a company would want to invest in a new warehouse or in a new location or a new equipment. Now, there has to be a study on the feasibility of such a proposed investment. And we need to know this measure, the weighted average cost of capital, or the WACC, in order to determine if that project is feasible or not. Module 6 will bring us to capital budgeting processes and techniques. Capital budgeting is all about, as I mentioned a while ago, it's all about investing huge amounts, relatively bigger amount of money, because a project will be for the long term. It's different from operating budget or operating expenditures, which will stand to benefit only the current operating period. For example, transportation expenses, supplies expenses, these are what we call OPEX, operating expenditures, because they will only benefit one particular operating period. On the other hand, investment in equipment, machinery, real estate, they will stand to benefit more than one operating period, let's say 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, even 30 years. Then they're called CAPEX, or capital expenditures. And lastly, we'll have module 7, capital structure and leverage. So all of this will be the topics that we're going to discuss in this subject. So let's begin with the end in mind, okay? Let's begin, guys, with the first module. If you click this, you'll be brought to this modules. And you notice that there's a module 0 here, resource information. In this subject, whether whatever section you are enrolled in, all the sections in FMDFINA will adopt one particular textbook. And that particular textbook can be found, okay, let me see if I have linked this already. Okay, I'm sorry, I haven't paired it with this section. Let me open another section. My apologies, guys. I forgot to pair the textbook with our section. So let me just open one section and let me use that. I'm sorry for my cough. Okay, so let me open one section where I have paired the textbook. Okay. So the text that we're going to, oops, why is it not appearing here? Okay, 36. Something's wrong with the connection. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry, guys. We're having I'm having a problem connecting to the. Oh, sorry. I clicked the wrong. I clicked the wrong. But the wrong. Okay, so this is it. My apologies. Okay, so this will be our textbook, guys. It's Principles of Corporate Finance, 13th edition. The book contains many chapters, but of course we'll not be able to cover everything in one in one term. Okay, let me just okay, so this is our textbook, Principles of Corporate Finance, and the authors are Briley, Myers, and Allen. So it's an e-book, it's an e-resource. It's not only an e-book. It contains a whole gamut of resources. It's actually a smart book. So let me just show you, guys. So these are the authors, Briley, Myers, and Allen. This is one of the best textbook there is in the market today. This is also being used by UP, Ateneo, the big schools, okay? So we are at par with them as far as the resource being used is concerned in financial management. Okay, so let's go to the content. So I would encourage you to navigate through this. For the first 2 weeks, this will be free for you for your use. However, guys, we know that McGraw-Hill is a business entity, so this is their product, and I would like to really encourage you to invest in this for the term. We're going to use this for the whole term. I'll show you. Sorry about that, guys. I'm having a sore throat here. Okay, so I would like to encourage you to navigate through the ebook, okay? And there are some very good resources for you to use. There's a guided tour, and I uploaded a PowerPoint slide as a guide for you to navigate through the book. Okay, so let me go to. Okay, so these are the brief contents. So the main topics are: part 1 is value, part 2 is risk, part 3 is capital budgeting, part 4 has something to do with market efficiency. Okay, part 5, capital structure. Okay, so we'll be reaching some of the chapters up to part 5. Part 6 and the other topics are even part 9, sorry, financial planning and working management. Not all, because some of the topics are more for the advanced finance, but mostly guys will be able to cover many of the chapters here. Okay, so let's go to the contents. If I click this one, Introduction to Corporate Finance. Okay, so let me just read through this very quickly. So this text is about corporations, and that's our subject. Our subject is corporate finance, how they make financial decisions. We know that in any institution, in any business entity, there are several functionalities. You have marketing, you have human resources, you have maybe research and development. You can also have information technology. Of course, we have finance, operations, of course. So when we talk of financial management, we talk of financial decisions which the company has to make. And as far as financial decision making, there are some caveats, there are some guidelines the finance team has to follow. No? So we know that corporations need real estate in order to generate real assets, in order to generate income. Without investment in assets, the company will not be able to generate income. So there are several types of assets. We know that they can be tangible or intangible. Okay, so as far as the company is concerned, they need to ask what investments should they make? Where should they be investing? So it depends on the nature of the business. For example, if let's say BPI, Bank of the Philippine Islands, it's in the banking industry. They would ask the question, what investments do they need to make? And apart from that, they need also to, for example, should they now invest in newer technologies in order to provide their customers with, let's say, online facilities? If so, how are they going to pay for these investments? Okay, so these are basic decisions, these are basic questions that are within the purview of corporate finance. And finance people are not just, do not just make any decisions without thinking about it, without being guided by several questions. And that's what we're going to discuss in this class. So if you read further, guys, for example, the secret of success in financial management is to increase value. Okay, so for example, instructing the financial manager to increase value is like advising an investor in the stock market to buy low and sell high. The question is really, how do we do it? So these are questions that we'd like to address in this subject. So I'd like to encourage you guys, your assignment for this week will be to navigate through chapter 1 and read chapter 1 of the text. Okay, it's not a long text, guys. It's not a long chapter, but I'm sure you'll learn a lot in this chapter. So if we go to, for example, section 1-1, what's good about this is that there are ready helps. For example, it makes use of the term real assets. And in your If you access this either through your computer or through your mobile, there's a mobile app, of course, developed by my McGraw-Hill, so you can access this resource in your cell phones. You can read the articles wherever you are. So, for example, real estates, okay, it's tangible assets and intangible assets used to carry on the business. Okay, so it means that real assets are assets used in order for a firm to be operational, and these real assets could be tangible or intangible. Now, aside from that, there are also many other resources here. Okay, so there are many tables, guys. Examples of recent investments. I'll not go there, guys. This is what I mentioned a while ago, capital budgeting or CapEx. So if you want to know what CapEx is, or capital expenditure, CapEx stands for capital expenditure. And these are investments that are for the long term. So capital budgeting, list of planned investments projects usually prepared semi-annually, and the effect of which is not short term, but rather for long term. Okay, so, and there are very good articles here beyond the page. Okay, very good articles that describe more in greater detail or discusses more in greater detail the topic at hand. So let me move forward. So for example, in 1.1-2, the financial goal of the corporation. This is a very important topic. What really is the goal of the corporation? So if you read further here, okay, there are discussions here. So for example, should managers look after the interests of their shareholders? Now this happens because we know that now organizations or businesses are not, most of them at least, are not managed by the owners. Before, guys, in the early 1800s, the businesses were very simple. Usually, the owner of the business was the one managing the business. But over time, in the evolution of businesses grew, and so it was now very impossible for the owner to manage the business himself. So the owner had to hire professional managers, and also in order to grow the business, the concept of the corporation was established, where there was not only one owner, there were several owners. And in the case now, in our case now, the owners themselves are not necessarily the managers. So for example, I invested in Jollibee. I'm a part owner of Jollibee, but I don't manage Jollibee. Okay, there are managers that are hired in order to manage Jollibee, or for that matter, any stock, any company. And oftentimes there can be a conflict between what managers do and the interest of the shareholders. And we call it the agency problem. I don't know if it's mentioned here. Okay, but it's called the agency problem when managers do things that may be desirable for them, but not for the shareholders. So for example, if we read this portion, we have assumed that financial managers should act on behalf of shareholders by trying to maximize their wealth. But perhaps this begs the question, is it desirable for managers to act in the selfish interests of their shareholders? Okay. Managers could act in a way that will benefit only themselves and not the shareholders. So we have what we call an ethical dilemma there. Okay. And have you heard of the Ponzi scheme, guys? Kindly chat, please. Yes or no lang, guys, if you have heard of the Ponzi scheme, P-O-N-Z-I, Ponzi. Thank you. Thank you, Charmaine. How about the rest, guys? Okay, good. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you. I like your I appreciate guys your feedback. Yan, salamat ha. Salamat. Yan. Okay, very good, very good. All right. Now, let's i-google natin guys ha. Ponzi scheme. Okay, and then let's use Investopedia. What is the Ponzi scheme? Okay, as the name suggests, guys, it's a fraud, no? It's a scam. So pag sinabing Ponzi scheme, scam yan. What happens in a Ponzi scheme? Those who would invite you to join them will offer you very high rates of return. Napakataas ng return. Okay? Ilang beses na nangyari siya. By the way, guys, anyone here who does not understand Filipino? So may I have your permission, guys, to once in a while speak in Filipino in order to clarify a point. Of course, if somebody here does not understand Filipino, then I'll have to speak in straight English. Permission, guys? Permission? Yes. Could you answer yes, please? Yes. Okay, thank you. No problem. Okay, please tell me, guys, if you're not able to understand Filipino, then I will, no problem with me, I'll speak in straight English. Okay, I think we don't have any problem with that. So once in a while, guys, I'm going to speak in Filipino just to clarify a point. Now, in the Philippines, there are many who are victimized by Ponzi schemes. If you're familiar with the Mindanao scam, I just forget the name of that scheme, where investors were offered 30% per month. Okay, where in the world will you be able to find an investment that will give you 30% return per month? So that's 360% return per annum. It's highly unlikely unless you're really talking of a business investment that will really yield that return. For example, if somebody comes to us and say, come to us, we're going to promise you 30% return per month. So what's your business model? We ask them. We have been able to develop a miracle drug that can kill COVID-19 virus in just one tablet. And there are medical researches that will prove that. We have tested this for several individuals, and it has promised to be, it is a very promising drug, and we're going to market this globally. And we have already the FDA approval, even US FDA approval. And it's the only drug in the market that can do this. Well, if you have a business proposal like that, I won't be surprised if it will be earning 30% per month. Okay, because there's a product, there's really a business model, there's a factory there. It's really a tangible investment. Now that will not be a Ponzi scheme unless maybe the returns, we can debate about that. But that's not a Ponzi scheme because it's not fraudulent. It's not a scam because there's really a business. However, when somebody comes to you and say, join us in our investment, your 1 million you'll be able to recover it in 2 months' time because we give you 50% return. What's your business model? Leave that up to us. We were engaged in several types of businesses, but what really are you invested in? If that person can't explain what that business is all about, then matakot na kayo, guys. Do not invest in that. It's a pyramiding scheme. And that has already happened in the Philippines. And history teaches us that man never learns from history. No? Ilang beses na binawarningan yung mga tao, do not invest in that. And yet people are so gullible to invest in that. And many really lose their lifetime savings kasi they put their money there. Kasi ito nga, it's also controlled by greed or avarice. No? Pag masyado tayong gusto natin yung get rich quickly schemes, delikado yan, guys, no? Delikado. And hindi lang dito yan nangyari, guys, not only in the Philippines but in US noong 1920s si Charles Ponzi, siya actually nagsimula niyan no? Nag-pyramiding scheme siya. Let's read further. No? Okay, so what happens in a Ponzi scheme? It's like a pyramid scheme. Now, ang nagbe-benefit nito, yung mga nauna nag-invest. So, those who invested first are the ones who benefit more. Kasi, how will we be able to pay interest for them? We have to quote-unquote fool new investors to come in. Okay, so ang daming papasok, ang dami kasing gullible, kaya ang daming easily enticed. So they will join. And yung i-invest nila, yun ang ipambabayad nila dun sa interest ng mga older investors. Okay, so what happens? Yung mga those who newly came in, kailangan mabayaran din sila ng interest. So what do? We invite more investors. And the pyramid grows and grows and grows until the base is already so big that you can no longer invite as many investors, and then the model collapses, the pyramid collapses. So anong kawawa? Sino yung mga kawawa? Yung mga bagong investors, naglagay ng 1 million, 2 million, or even smaller amounts. And then since there are no more investors coming in, hindi na sila mababayaran. Ang swerteng-swerte yung mga nauna, no? Kasi na-recover na nila investment nila, okay, and even more. So they're happy at the expense of those who are new investors. Okay, pinayaman nila yung mga old investors. So kawawa, and it's a scam, guys. It's really a scam. So it's called a Ponzi scam kasi sa US nagsimula to no? I think it's Charles. I read the book on this. The term si Charles Ponzi. Swindler yun, 1920. Okay, ginamit yung US Postal Service. Okay, I'd like you to read about that. No? Very interesting. Okay, pinami siya for 50% in 45 days or 100% in 90 days. Okay, initially nag-succeed siya. Okay, so what happened was he would invite more investors para mabayaran yung mga lumang investors. Okay, of course na-indict siya for mail fraud. Okay, hindi lang yung tapos yan. I don't know if you heard of Bernard Madoff. Naging ng laman ng balita to, guys, no? Okay, so read something about Bernard Madoff. Ito yung mga modern day na mga Ponzi schemes. So as I said, guys, history teaches us that man does not learn anything from history. Paulit-ulit na lang yan in another name, in another scheme. Pero pareho lang yung promise yan. A promise for a big return. Tapos wala namang business model. So that's called a Ponzi scheme. Okay? Now, in fact, guys, itong mga behind the page to, these are just one and a half pagers. And very interesting yung mga read na to. For example, hindi lang companies, guys. In fact, there was one whole country, no, that was affected by this Ponzi scheme, si Albania. So if I open this, okay, ano sabi dito sa sa Briley? This is what's good with this ebook, no, itong resource na to. Kasi ang dami niyang very rich talaga in materials which we cannot find in just a textbook, a printed textbook. So this happened with Albania. If you're familiar with Soviet history, yung USSR, Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, after the Cold War, okay, si Mikhail Gorbachev. So USSR was splintered into independent states. So dyan ang galing si Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, si Ukraine. So they were all part of USSR before. So na-splinter na sila, naging independent countries na sila. Tapos there were other countries, Yugoslavia, Bulgaria, Albania. They were independent countries pero nakalink sila sa Iron Curtain sa USSR. So after the fall of communism in USSR, naging independent na mga countries na yan. Si Albania, naging Naging free from communism na rin siya and brutal dictatorship. Pero si Albania, guys, one of the poorest country in Europe yan. No? So in 1996, nagkaroon ng Ponzi scheme dito. One company was offering a rate of 30% a month. 2 months later, another company offered naman double the money in 2 months. That means 50% per month. No? So, ano yung business model nila? Wala rin business talaga yan. No? Ponzi scheme siya, pyramiding scheme. Kukuha ng mga investors, yung mga later investors, yung mga pera na invest nila, ibibigay dun sa mga older ones. Since sila yung mga nauna, sila yung nagbe-benefit. Kasi syempre yung investment nila, kikita ng malaking interest yan at the expense of the other new investors, as I said a while ago. Okay? So the only way these companies could provide such returns was by paying the first investors out of the money received from those who invested later. So it's like, ang description nga niyan, getting money from Peter to pay Paul. No? So kukunin natin yung pera ni Peter para bayaran si Paul. Yun ang business model na to. Okay, they could attract these additional deposits by tempting the new investors with increasingly high rates of interest. Tinataasan pa yung interest. Diba? Parang yung kay Ponzi. 45, ilang percent yun? 50% in 45 days, 100% in 90 days. Wow. Wala kang makikitang investment, guys, yung real investment na magbibigay ng ganung returns. So what happened? Now, kasi very poor ang Albania after many years of repression and hardships. What happened? Parang nabuhayan sila ng loob, parang nagkaroon ng land of milk and honey. So initially, syempre, mga unang investors, happy na happy. Syempre, word of mouth yan. Hey, we invest kayo dito, ang ganda, grabe. Na-recover ko na yung investment ko. Kawawa yung mga iba. No? Okay, so, of course, that investment will, it's a scam, it's a pyramid that will collapse. Within a few months, the two largest schemes had attracted nearly 2 million depositors. A third, okay, 6 million yung population ng Albania, 2 million were invested in the Ponzi scheme. Halos 33% ng buong bansa. So, ang naging utang na 1.2 billion, half of the GDP of Albania. So, not surprisingly, guys, despite warning from IMF and World Bank, yung government parang hindi nila na-realize or invested din sila doon. They did little to warn the public. Okay, so what happened? Eventually, the high promised returns began to arouse suspicion and new investment started to slow. Ayan, so medyo nag-iisip na yung mga tao. So, of course, pag nawala na ng mga bagong investment, ano mangyayari? Paano mo mababayaran yung mga older investors, pati yung mga recently invested people? Wala na. Magko-collapse na yan. Insufficient new money coming in. Okay? So, of course, expected na magdi-default talaga yan. And the collapse began. So, domino na yan. Bagsak talaga. Buti sana kung the people took it just silently. Well, charge it to experience. Medyo medyo ganit ako sa profit eh. Okay, of course, hindi naman masama maging for profit, pero ito medyo parang unrealistic na, no? Pag ganyan kasi, guys, Ponzi na yan, pyramid scheme na yan. Okay, by 1997, uncontained rioting. Siyempre, nagkaroon ng patayan, 2,000 people died. Of course, the government collapsed. Yung mga nasa army at police nagsilayas. Okay? For fear of their lives also. So na-root yung armory. 1 million. Okay? Nag-collapse talaga yung country. Okay? So kailangan pumasok pa yung UN forces, guys. Okay? It took them a long time to recover. Talagang kawawa yung Albania. Mahirap na nga, na Ponzi pa sila. No? Na Ponzi pa sila. So very interesting, guys. And this is a lesson for us, guys. No? So ingat tayo pag may nag-o-offer ng ganyan. Let's temper our yung let's be realistic, let's be suspicious pag may mga ganyan ano na, kasi unless nga yung sinasabi ko siya may business model na naka ano ng miracle drug na which will revolutionize COVID, na ma-eradicate yung COVID. Doon maniniwala pa ako, guys, eh. Kasi talaga may business, may negosyo talaga. Tapos may approval pa ng US FDA, Philippine FDA. Wow. Okay, I'm sure maraming mag-aano diyan, mag-i-invest sa ganyan, no? Kasi may negosyo talaga. So this one, guys. Okay. So pause muna ako, guys. Clear so far, guys? Any questions? I would appreciate some feedback from you. Kung okay lang ba so far yung discussion natin? Mabilis ba yung discussion natin o okay lang yung pace natin? Are you learning so far, guys? Okay, thank you, Charmaine. Thank you, Tracy. Okay. How about the rest, guys? I hope you're still there. I hope you're still listening. Sa simula lang, guys, medyo ako muna yung magmo-monologue, no? As we move on, guys, medyo hands-on na tayo kasi medyo marami tayong modeling dito. So some sessions, guys, exercise tayo. You'll be assigned to groups. Okay. Thank you, guys, for your feedback. So very interesting, no? I find this to be very interesting. Okay, so this will be our textbook, guys. Yung sinasabi ko kanina pala, agency problems. Agency problems and corporate governance. So the shareholders are what we call the principals. Okay. Those that are managing the firm on behalf of the shareholders are called agents. No? So meron tayong tinatawag na agency problem. Agency problems can sometimes lead to outrageous behavior. Okay, so there are examples here, no? Grabe yung mga agency problems na to. I'll just cite one example. Si Dennis Kozlowski, CEO of Tyco. Imagine, no? CEO siya. Anong ginawa niya? He threw a 2 million birthday bash for his wife. Tapos sinarge siya half of the cost to the company. Saan nakakita ng ganun, guys, no? As a CEO, no? So ginawa niya yon. Charge $1 million for the 40th birthday bash of his wife. No? Of course, extreme conflict of interest yan. Okay? And of course, that was illegal. So ito yung tinatawag natin, guys, na agency problem, na yung mga managers, professional managers, okay, gumagawa sila ng mga hakbang that will be beneficial for them, na ikakasira ng mga shareholders. Okay, so that's a very interesting discussion, guys. Okay, so nagkaroon ng mga changes in what we call corporate governance because of these agency problems. Okay, very interesting yan. Okay, so let me go back to our canvas. Now, under modules, guys, meron tayo dito module 0, resource information. Now, let me be transparent about this. May cost, guys, yung resource natin, no? Siyempre, investment din ng mga ng mga authors, mga writers, and also yung ginawang product na to ng McGraw-Hill. Now, please take note that I'm not a shareholder of McGraw-Hill. Okay, and I don't stand to benefit anything from this. But the cost of the investment is 710. And you'll find here, nasa canvas, ito yun, no? How to purchase the resource. Now, for the first 2 weeks, libre to. But from 3rd week on, guys, kailangan nakasubscribe tayo. Now, again, guys, I don't have any monetary interest in this. We teachers of FMDFINA do not have any pecuniary interest. Pag sinabing pecuniary, that's a word for money, no? Wala kaming money interest dito sa, so let me write that. Just to be clear, no? Okay, the word for the day, guys, pecuniary. We don't have any pecuniary interest in this. Now, you might say, may gastos na naman. Now, I would encourage you guys to not to take a look at this as an expense, but rather as an investment in yourself. I guarantee you that the resource, guys, is really much more worth than the 710 pesos. I'm saying this, guys, I'm encouraging you kasi alam ko yung benefit ito para sa inyo. Okay, and para sa akin, what's good for you, yun ang recommend ko, no? Okay, again, wala kaming pecuniary interest dyan. Okay, and just consider that as nagbabalikan na naman yung pwede na magsine, no? Isipin nyo na lang na i-forgo nyo na lang yung isang paglalabas at saka panunod ng sine. Diyan nyo na lang muna ilagay, no? Ano ba yung investment kasi? Investment is foregoing, no, the benefit that you can get today to have a better benefit in the future. So if forgo natin yung 710 na igagastos natin either for Starbucks or to watch a movie sa Conrad or sa a very good movie house, and invest it somewhere dito muna, no? Because the benefit will far outweigh the cost. Okay, again, guys, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I have to say this kasi baka maisip natin na may cut kami dito. Wala po. Kami mga teachers. And sa lahat ng mga sections, guys, ipapakita namin to. So this is uniform throughout all the sections. Hindi lang po sa section natin. There are, I think, 12, 13 sections of FMDFINA, 14 sections. So all of those sections are going to use this text. Okay, so we can find that, guys, here. Ito yun. And this one to guide you in how to navigate. So as early as now, guys, pwede nyo na magamit yung resource. So please navigate through it. Basahin nyo na yung chapter 1 kasi yan yung mga discussion natin for the next 2 or 3 sessions. Now, we go to module 1, guys. Okay, punta na tayo sa atin. You will not find this one kasi sa ibang section to, no? Nag-meet na kami kahapon. So for us, guys, ito yung modules natin. This is our module. Okay, you'll find this. This is the PowerPoint coming from the textbook. Now, I'd like you to go over this, but today we're going to discuss not using this, but another reference, parang add-on, no? Gagamit ako ng isang PowerPoint na ginawa ko, which supplements this PowerPoint. And I'm going to share this PowerPoint also with you. Okay, so let me open the PowerPoint. So this will be our discussion for today. We will not be able to complete everything. We'll not be able to finish everything, but I hope that we'll be able to cover up to a certain point in our discussion today. Okay, so we have 5 objectives for this chapter, learning objectives. Number 1, we would like to know, ano ba yung role ng financial management sa isang organization? Importante ba ang financial management? Okay, financial management is very important, guys. If you take a look at the business firm for let's call it an SBU. Okay, this is a firm. SBU stands for a strategic business unit. Okay, a strategic. Sorry for the drawing. So ito may mga different functionalities yan, no? Can you tell me, guys, what are the different functions of a business unit? Example, please. You may unmute yourself, guys, or you may chat. What are the different functions? Management functions. We call it management functions. Ano-ano ba yung iba't ibang management functions? This is a strategic business unit. A firm, no? Strategic business unit. Anyone, guys? Example of the management function. Okay, simulan ko na. Marketing. Ba? You have marketing. Ano pa? You may unmute yourself, guys. I hope we'll have, I would really appreciate your participation, guys.
Hi, sir. Does this include planning or organization?
Planning, organization. Okay, let's put that Yeah, that can be planning. Let's put that under general management. Okay, we can do that. No? We call it general management as a usually nasa top yan, ano, hindi dito. But let's just put it here. Thank you so much. Who was that?
Pabor po.
Amor, thank you.
Kyla.
Kyla, thank you so much. Okay. Anyone else, guys? Thank you, Kyla. Yes, Charmaine, please.
Sir, staffing po, yun sa HR po.
Okay, staffing will fall under HR. no? Okay, human resource, no? Others call this TM or PM. Ano yung TM? Talent management or people management. So that's human resource. You're correct, no? That's also a function of management. Yes, we have two participants who raised their hands. Yes, Tracy?
Sir, accounting po.
Accounting, yes, okay. Thank you, Tracy. And Martin?
Sir, kasama po ba yung advertising?
Advertising will fall under marketing, no?
Okay.
Thank you, Martin. Okay, ano pa? Meron pa, guys? Of course, andyan dapat yung operations, no? Okay, operations, sila talaga yung nagtra-transform ng raw materials into finished product. Pag ano to, if it's a manufacturing. Of course, andyan din yung finance. No? For big companies, separate yung accounting at saka finance function. Tapos, andyan din siyempre yung IT. No? IT, pwede rin andi dito yung R&D. No? So, talanday natin dito, R&D, Research and Development. Okay, so depende dun sa size ng business. Okay, big businesses will usually have different, meron silang R&D unit. Okay, meron pa silang knowledge management. Iba lang din yun sa information technology. Okay, so these are the different functions of management. Now we're going to take a look in this subject. We're going to zero in on your finance function. You have your marketing subject, so yun ang tinitingnan doon. No? Meron din kayong later on strategic human resource management. You have your accounting subject. You'll have operations. Okay. You have computer subjects and maybe IT. So almost all of the functions, guys, are discussed as business students in RVRCOB. Now for this subject, ang focus natin yung finance function. So ano yung role ng finance dito sa buong in the whole gamut of this business entity? So in this subject, we're going to learn what are financial institutions, what are instruments, and what are financial markets. Okay? Ano ba yung mga financial institutions? It can be banks, can be insurance companies, can be lending companies. So marami yan. And it's good for us to know at least the more important ones. No? So at the end of this term, at the end of this chapter pala, guys, dapat aware tayo ano ba yung mga most important na financial institutions that are there. Okay, also instruments. No? What are the different instruments? We're going to define what are instruments and also financial markets. Okay, so yun ang dalawang objective natin. Number 3, as I mentioned a while ago, related dyan sa number 2, we're going to define what are the different institutions, okay, and ano yung pinoprovide nila. For example, banks, insurance companies, they have a role to play in the growth of the economy of a country. Very important yung role nila. Kunyari, banks. No? Ano ba yung role ng banks? There are institutions or individuals who are net savers. May extra cash sila. Pero hindi nila alam kung anong gagawin nila dun sa extra cash nila dun. So ilalagay muna nila sa banko yan. And then there are also net borrowers. May project sila, kailangan nila ng pera. Pwede silang pumunta sa banko para makahiram ng pera. Okay, yung mga nag-save dun sa banko, yun ang pinoprovide na funds ng banko dun sa mga net borrowers. No? So it's like a marketplace. It's like a marketplace where the net savers and net borrowers meet. Okay, so that's one important function of a financial institution. Imagine guys kung mag-collapse yung bank, di ba? Magkaroon ng bank run. Ako, nakakatakot yun, guys. Kaya nga importante to really the BSP, the Department of Finance, they're there to help really strengthen financial institutions. Ano pa? Kunyari, yung mga financial institution din, guys, yung mga pawn shops, no? Yung mga maliliit na yan, maybe hindi natin kailangan yan, pero marami sa mga kababayan natin, guys, kailangan nila yung pawn shops. Pag may immediate cash need sila, tapos meron naman silang pwedeng ipon, ginagamit nila yan. Okay, also, we have microfinance institutions. Okay, one of the biggest microfinance in the Philippines is CARD, Center for Agricultural and Rural Development in the Philippines. Ano yan? Mga lending companies yan. Papautang sila sa mga nanay. Okay? I had the opportunity to be engaged with them from Luzon to Mindanao. Yung presence sila can be felt. No? So ang ginagawa nila, nagpapautang sila, micro-lending sila, microfinance. Yung mga universal banks, BDO, BPI, hindi na nila pinapansin yung mga nasa grassroots eh. Yung mga yun ang talaga nangangailangan ng pondo. So pasok yung mga microfinance. So yun ang niche nila. So they play a major role, guys, financial institutions, in order to help alleviate yung poverty or to bring out from poverty yung mga nasa poorest of the poor talaga. And marami mga testimony siya na yung mga mahihirap na walang access sa financing, kailangan magkaroon na ng mga maliliit na negosyo, diyan papasok yung mga microfinance. Okay, so there are different institutions, they have their role to play in the development of our country. Okay, tapos of course, pag-aaralan natin yung iba't ibang klaseng instruments. And then lastly, ito yung importante yung flow of funds. Sabi ko nga kanina, may net savers, may net borrowers. Paano mapupunta yung pera na kailangan ng net borrowers coming from the net savers? Okay, that's what we call the flow of funds. And that's where financial institutions will come in, financial instruments will come in, and the financial market will come in. Okay, so very interesting tong system na to ng financial market. And we're going to discuss that in chapter 1. Okay, now let me start first by asking you, what should be the main objective of any business? Sa tingin nyo guys, ano ba yung main objective ng any business? May I request you to please chat in the chat box? Ano yung answer nyo? Ano ba yung main objective ng isang negosyo? Okay, thank you, Mikhail, to generate income. How about the rest, guys? Profit. Thank you, Alessandro. Yes, that's right. Income, profit, earn money. Yes, Darius, you're correct. Okay, May, thank you. Purpose, yes. Purpose pala. Lorenzo, purpose. Okay, so, okay, sige, discuss natin mamaya yan. Okay, profit, May, thank you. About the rest, guys, ano idea nyo? Ito naman, si Gwyneth, CSR, okay. LG, provide needs and wants, yes. Anton, be responsible. Stay running in the long run. Okay, Sophia, thank you. Yeah, sustainability, no? Of course. Okay, thank you for your answers, guys. In a sense, tama naman yung mga answers natin, no? Most of you said that it should be to earn money, to earn profit. Of course, that's very important. Sinong negosyo, guys, na hindi ang ano nila, ang objective nila to earn profit? We're not talking of NGOs here, guys, okay? Ang mga NGOs iba kasi. Ang pinakauna nila is their mission. Kunyari, ang mission nila to eradicate, let's say, kunyari, health organization, no? Ang mission nila to eradicate, let's say, tuberculosis. So yun ang pinakaano nila. Hindi ang main objective nila is to earn profit. Hindi yun. Pero of course, they need cash. They need money in order to be operational. Pero yung generating of revenues, hindi nila hindi nila main objective. Ang main objective nila will be to eradicate tuberculosis, for example. Okay, some of you mentioned, okay, very interesting, sinabi ni let's say, Lorenzo. Lorenzo, could you share? Could you elaborate further? Parang similar siya dun kay Gwyneth, yung corporate social responsibility. Would you like to briefly unmute yourself, and what do you mean by purpose?
Sir, it's usually the purpose that the company wants to achieve, or like the purpose of their business, why they created their business. That's what they put first before they earn profit.
Okay, so purpose of the business. Pero will you agree that any business entity, kunyari ang purpose nila, sabihin natin, is to create this product that will help, let's say that will help, that will provide a particular need in the market. But they do it because they would want to be sustainable, and really, ang bottom line talaga niyan, mag-generate sila ng profit. No, I don't think, maybe very rare yon na may isang tao or group of people who will spend time really registering their business, kasi philanthropic talaga yung ano nila, yung mission nila. Pag ganyan kasi, pag philanthropic na, hindi na siguro business entity yan. Siguro maybe that might be classified more as an NGO. Okay, so maybe the purpose is really more to be profitable, no? Generally, guys, kasi nga kung ang objective nila is, katulad ng sinabi ko kanina, is to eradicate tuberculosis, so siguro hindi na business entity yan, no? It cannot be considered anymore as a for-profit business. Kasi usually, kaya naman tayo mag-negosyo para mag-earn ng profit, di ba? Profitability is primordial. Secondary na lang siguro yung yung CSR, no? Pag CSR talaga yung main objective ng business, then that should be parang NGO na rin yan, no? Kunyari, sino to? Anong company to? Si Green, I forget the name of the company. But anyway, let's suppose we'll create a company, tapos ang objective natin is to make sure that malinis yung mga river and estuaries natin dito sa Philippines. Well, then our objective is not to make profit. Ang objective natin is to make sure that the river system, yung mga lakes natin, maging malinis kasi punong-puno na ng basura, etc., etc. So hindi ang objective nun is to earn profit. So generally, guys, thank you for your answers. Okay? My point din si Lorenzo, sabi niya, purpose. Pero when you're dealing with a business entity, for-profit firm, ang purpose talaga niyan is to generate profit. So ano naman yun? Wala naman tayong conflict doon. Okay, so generally, guys, sabi natin, it's really to generate profit, no? So maximize. Okay. Maximize profit. Okay. However, guys, from a financial perspective, no, ang profit natin yung bottom line, di ba? We call this the bottom line. Why is it the bottom line? Kasi pag tinignan natin income statement, yung pinaka nasa dulo niya, yung net income after tax. Yan na. Kung ano man yan, guys, yun yung profit ng company, no? And we would want to maximize that. However, from a financial perspective, guys, medyo i-question natin to. Yan. So I'll put an X mark to that in order to indicate that this is questionable. Okay, kasi guys, from a financial perspective, the main objective of a business should really be to maximize shareholder value. Yan. Maximize shareholder value. Okay, it's already time. Time na pala. Ay, hindi pa. Sorry na ako. We have 15 more minutes. Nalilito ako dun sa 10:30. 12:30 pala yung isa. Okay, maximize shareholder value, guys. What do you mean by maximizing shareholder value? Iba to kaysa profit maximization. Okay, there's a world of difference between maximizing profit and maximizing shareholder value. Anong difference niya? Let me explain, guys. When we talk of shareholder value maximization, we talk of maximizing shareholder value or shareholder wealth or the market value of the stock. Market value of the stock. Okay, what do we mean by this? Okay, let's suppose, guys, that let's say 30 years ago, if you were, kunyari, buhay na tayo noon, okay, lalo na kayo, guys, hindi pa kayo buhay noon, no? 30 years ago, you invested in 1 million shares, okay? Let's say Jollibee na lang, no? Jollibee Food Corporation. And you invested, example lang to, fictitious example lang to. And you invested in per share of 30 pesos. Okay, so that was 30 years ago. No? Gawin natin 20 years ago. Nag-invest ka sa Jollibee. 1 million shares. Okay, and we know that from your accounting, alam natin na each share represents ownership in the company. So if you have a stock of Jollibee, then you are part owner of Jollibee. You invested 1 million shares at 30 pesos per share. So let's not put into consideration the tax, the transaction fees. So yun na lang, 30 pesos. So ang investment mo, 30 million. Fast forward guys, 2021 ngayon. So 2021 na. If we check the Jollibee, check natin para sigurado tayo. No? Okay, let me just hindi. Stock price, okay. Check natin kung magkano yung Jollibee ngayon. No? October 18. Baka wala pa doon. October 17 na lang. 2021. Okay, so ngayon, around 200 plus, no? 10, 15, so it's 200, ano ba closing na? Sabihin natin 230 pesos. No? So nung October 15, 2021, it was trading at around 230. 230 pesos yung Jollibee. So back to our example. Okay, 230. Hirap nitong ano. So 230 pesos siya. Okay, so what happened to the stock price, guys? 20 years ago, it was 30 pesos. Now it's 230. Question, if you were invested in this, guys, will you be happy? Paki-chat nga, please. Paki-chat, guys, in the chat box, if you will be happy kung ganito nangyari sa investment mo sa Jollibee, where you invested in it 30 pesos 20 years ago, now it's already 230 pesos. Okay, yeah, I agree with you guys. Happy tayo. Kasi imagine guys, yung 30 pesos natin, naging 230 na. So your 30 million practically became 230 million in a span of 20 years. Walang investment guys, kahit ipunta mo yan sa bangko, or you'll be hard put to find any other investment like this, no? Unless talaga mag-establish ka ng company tapos talagang makapag-create ka ng product na talagang napakaganda na over 20 years span, talagang lumaki yung yung stock price din ng company. Ganun lang talaga, no? So we'll be happy with this. So this tells us guys na as far as the company is concerned, you're taking a look at the market value of the stock. Kasi what affects ba the market value of the stock? The market value of the stock, anong law guys ang nagko-control ng price ng stock na to? It's the law of supply and demand, no? Supply and demand. Ibig sabihin, kaya tumataas yan kasi maraming gustong bumili ng Jollibee shares. Now, why will they want to buy it? Kasi alam nila yung business model ni Jollibee maganda. That they know that Jollibee will be able to generate future cash flows. Okay, so again, babalik tayo dun sa concept, yung sinabi kong cash kanina, no? Importante yung cash, guys. Yung flow of funds kanina na sinasabi natin, it's actually a flow of funds of cash. Cash yun guys. We're not talking of income here. We're not talking of profit. We're talking of cash. In fact, one of the principles in finance that we're going to learn is the principle of cash is king. Okay? Sa finance, cash is king. Bakit cash is king? Okay? Kasi if you're a business, pag kailangan mo ng if you need something in order to expand your business, anong kailangan mo talaga? You need cash, diba? To expand your business. So, manghihiram ka ng cash ngayon. Tapos yung magpapahiram sa'yo, okay? Magpapaloan, kunyari bangko magpapaloan, they need to expect something in return. Of course, they will expect you to pay back in cash then. Kaya nga cash, guys, yung medium ng transaction. That's why we take a look at cash and not profit. Of course, may role din yung profit kaso in a different sense. Okay, so the main objective of a business should be really maximizing shareholder value. We're not saying that maximizing profit is not important. It's important, but it should not be the main objective of a business. So let's elaborate further. Now, sabi nga natin, guys, no? So, is the main objective maximize profits? Or is it to satisfy customers? Now, walang argument tayo doon na importante yung customer satisfaction. Okay, because the customers are the lifeblood of the organization. No customers, guys, wala tayong negosyo. Okay, so is customer satisfaction important? Yes. Customer satisfaction delivers corporate performance. It increases profits and increases growth. Without loyal customers, without satisfied customers, mahihirapan tayo sa profitability, mahihirapan tayo sa growth. And yung profitability and growth, it happens because our satisfied customers keeps on buying, patronizing our product. Ito yung repeat customers natin, repeat buyers. And they're less sensitive to high price, less sensitive to increase in prices. Pag yung mga disloyal, yung mga hindi loyal ng customers, pag medyo konting taas, price sensitive sila, lilipat kagad dyan. Maghahanap ng ibang supplier ng product na yun or service na yun. On the other hand, loyal customers, guys, kunyari, I've known of people na kahit na masyadong mahal na ngayon yung iPhone, ano na ba? iPhone 13, iPhone 13 Pro. Since simula ng iPhone hanggang ngayon, iPhone talaga siya, hindi siya nagsa-Samsung, hindi siya Huawei. Talagang loyal talaga siya dun sa Apple and Apple products. So that increases in prices of newer Apple products, they don't mind, no? Kasi loyal sila dun. So yun, loyalty in crisis. No? So whatever happens, kunyari guys, case in point yung Jollibee. Diba recently, I think that was early this year yata, nagkaroon ng problem dun sa delivery. Yung Chicken Joy naging towel na para na-coat ng breading. Diba? Naging talagang issue yun. But did you see people transferring to McDonald's because of that issue? Hindi eh. Kasi let's say Jollibee has already established itself among its loyal customers. No? Na acquired na yung taste nila. Gusto na nila yung lasa ng Chicken Joy doon, yung spaghetti na matamis, natatawanan ng ibang ng Europeans kasi hindi naman talaga daw ganun yung ng Jollibee, hindi ganun talaga yung lasa ng spaghetti technically. Kasi yung spaghetti natin parang ng Jollibee ang tamis-tamis di ba? Parang may asukal. Okay, so na-acquire na nila yung ganung klaseng taste. So nawin na nila yung market. So loyal pa rin yan kahit ganun yung issue. Of course, dun sa branch na yon, guys, medyo nagkaroon siguro ng issue for a few days. Pero back to normal na naman after some time. Word of mouth, guys. Ang customers are the best advertisers. One-stop shopping, we call it cross-selling. Ano yung cross-selling? Pag may product tayo, we can sell that also. Call it cross-selling. Cross-selling. Okay. If we have a portfolio of products, we can market that to our loyal customers. Andiyan dyan na sila eh. Madali nang ibibenta sa kanila yung other products or new product innovation. Okay, so customers are very important. However, is satisfying customers a goal of the firm or an objective? Yes. But again, that should not be the main objective. Okay, sabi natin, customer satisfaction is really a strong indicator of customer loyalty kasi it will lead to purchasing again, yung sinabi ko kanina, cross-selling, and yung hindi sila nagiging price sensitive, and of course, yung WOM, word of mouth. May importance, guys, very important, yung customer satisfaction. But that should not be the main objective of any business firm. The main objective should be to maximize shareholder value. Okay, pag bumababa, guys, yung stock price yan, then something's wrong. Kasi market forces ang nagdidictate ng stock price. And alam, guys, ng mga investors, nakikita yan based on what they perceive in the market, what's happening in the market. Okay, so very important yung market share or market price. Okay, so just a few discussion on this. Okay, it's almost time. So siguro, papakita ko muna itong 4 na slides na to. There's a difference between wealth maximization and profit maximization in terms of planning duration. Kasi pag profit maximization, guys, medyo short-term yung pananaw niyan. So ano nangyayari? Pag short-term yung pananaw, magka-cut back ng mga expenses. Example, we'll discuss this in greater detail next meeting. Pero example, guys, training. So pag profit maximization ang focus mo, sabihin ng finance, mag-cut back tayo ng mga expenses na hindi naman natin quote-unquote masyadong kailangan. Kasi kailangan natin kunyari may shareholders meeting in the next 3 months. So we need to paint a very, very high profitability. So we can do that by cutting discretionary expenses. Tanggalin natin training na 1 million. Okay, so ano mangyayari pag kinatback yung expense na yun? Of course, tataas yung bottom line, tataas yung profit. However, guys, may implication yan on the long term. I'll explain that in a while. How about dito sa pangalawa, guys? May difference then in terms of risk management. Na-miss ko ba? Okay. Planning duration in terms of risk management. Okay. Also in terms of pricing strategy and in terms of capacity planning. Okay. I have 1 more minute left. I'll stop for a while, guys, and just say we're going to expound on this next meeting. And ang kaibahan ng wealth maximization sa profit maximization generally is that wealth maximization focuses more on the long term. Kaya ini-encourage yung, for example, hedging on the risk. Discuss natin ito next meeting. And of course, also yung pricing strategy and capacity planning. Pag profit maximization, huwag na tayo mag-expand kasi gastos lang yan. Okay, pero sa wealth maximization, there are studies conducted, tapos sinasabi na 3 years down the road, tataas yung market, no? Tataas yung demand. So let's prepare now. Let's invest now in long-term assets para ready tayo in 3 years down the road. Okay? So let me stop our discussion now. Okay, it's already time to stop recording.